Leaders for Impact, we see business do good and create change fast and at scale. Business Reframed is where we talk to the leaders who drive that change. People who don't wait for permission. People who bring us together to create a better world through people, profit and purpose. Business Reframed. Conversations with changemakers at Leaders for Impact.
Welcome, Radhika, founder of Left-handesign. It's wonderful to have you here. You're also a member of the Leaders for Impact Network, which we'll talk about a little bit as we go through. But first of all, just tell us about you, your leadership journey, and a little bit more about your company.
Thanks, Kelly, for having me here. I'm the founder of Left-handesign, and my leadership journey has been deeply rooted in purpose, resilience, and a vision for change. We used to be in Singapore before moving into Australia last year. And what we do is we make plantable products. So what they are is once you finish using the product, you put it in the soil and you plant them.
Wow.
It's use, grow, plant, and love. And how you can be more sustainable with your stationery choices. That's who we are all about.
So I always find with business owners, there's always a driving force or a moment where you go, where you start your journey in terms of the business. So why plantable stationery? What led you to that?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one because my background is advertising. I've done more than a decade in advertising in India, in Dubai, and in Singapore. And we worked on building brand identity, print campaigns and all of that. Then on the later half, I joined the hospitality sector. And that's when I realized the mounting waste problem, what we have in hotels. And that's what created that impact. Like, what impact do I want to create? And that's what was missing beyond profits. And that's when the seed came in, which literally, ironically, and metaphorically, it means, plantable stationery. And I love design and I love nature. And I thought, how can I find a solution using both these and into something more exciting? So that's around it came through. And then we started with pencils first. Right. Then we moved on to the pens. Then we moved on to the notebook. So every year I introduced a new product as we went. And the idea is to use and grow instead of use and throw.
So in Singapore, you were a very successful business owner over there. Why do you think that was working over there in that country?
I think sustainability and being in this sector we were the first ones in 2017. And I think it just kind of more of a passion project. It slowly gained momentum, like as the years passed by and then COVID hit. So it just kind of gained momentum and with industry accolades and awards and corporate partnerships, it just kind of flew. And it was a full-fledged business on its own. And giving you a little bit backstory is like when I started the business, my mom and my husband were not very happy about it because they're like, oh, another creative side hustle. There you go. And I was like, no, this is not a creative hustle. This is going to be a business, and I'm going to prove it that this is the solution we need. And it was hard in the beginning to prove them wrong, but I'm glad I did it.
Absolutely. And we're glad you came to Australia. So,
yes.
So what are you seeing in this country in terms of some of the opportunities, but also some of the challenges in bringing your company into
Absolutely.
this country?
Look, I mean, there is a lot of challenge, growth. It's not just a growing business, but we are building a movement of change. And when you build a movement, obviously it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of communication of how we do our branding, how we communicate to our stakeholders. And for us, is coming back to the why behind the brand, communicating why we are doing this on the daily. Why do we need to replace and consume better things like eco-friendly stationery, or could be reusable coffee cups, and use your own tote bags whenever you leave the home. So So these are small practices which kind of have a bigger impact at the end of the day, but somebody needed to do that.
And I think the timing's right for your business, isn't it? There is you talk about it being a movement,
yes.
And there definitely is a movement in this country.
Yes.
And one of the things that that we've reflected on and we've spoken about previously is the impact space and the purpose business space is amazing. But one of the things that's probably missing is the ability for a lot of purpose business owners to actually be profitable and sustainable. So how do you balance that, and where do you see that going with your company?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very important question, Kelly. And when we started the business, I'm still bootstrapped. We've literally seen from $0 in my bank account to a 6-figure business in Singapore. And it was amazing. It was a great feeling. And it was a slow burn. We did marketplaces, talks, speaking events. We were on the ground constantly talking about the product. A customer used to come to us like, they used to ask us a question, why do you need to plant my pencil? Or why do I need to plant the pen? Because we are adding another layer to it. My simple answer was, how about giving a new life to your used product? How beautiful it is to grow a seed out of, or a plant or a herb or a flower out of your stationery. Like, it's just beautiful. We want to create beautiful functional products, but with a lot of meaning. We also wanted to introduce nature back into people's lives, because with COVID, everybody was in a lockdown.
Yeah.
And you remember the times where gardening became a fad, like everybody's gardening.
Hopefully it's a fad that keeps going, which is great.
Because we definitely need more greenery and plants and trees and all of that. So I think that kind of reinforced our purpose, because after COVID, it just kind of took off.
Yep.
And then corporates came in with more seriousness of adapting that into action. I think there's a lot of things we talk about, but there are very few things which get into action.
Yep.
And that's where we come at, is how we can help you and give you a solution to bring into action.
And I know that you've got an intentional plan to scale this business.
Yes.
And be purposeful and profitable.
Yes.
And so what are your plans in the next couple of years? What does success look like for you, both from a purpose point of view, but also from a profitability point of view?
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, bills needs to be paid. There are a lot of marketing costs. There's a lot of warehouse costs. We outsource help. And then obviously we need that cash flow. And I think as a business owner, cash flow is something which is not talked about a lot.
No.
We always hide behind the numbers, and we're like, oh yeah, we are a profitable business. We are a 6, 7, 8-figure business. But then when you look at the cash flow, is something which is a big miss.
Yep.
And I think moving to Australia has taught me the hard way, because I completely blew up all what I earned in Singapore, and now I'm rebuilding that. So for me, it's hard. It's pushing me and my boundaries, but it is also teaching me how I can, take this and make these into opportunities. And I have joined Leaders for Impact Network, and I'm really excited to be part of it and have your support and the network support and grow the business with you.
And I think that the team and the leadership hub that you're part of are really excited about this journey. I could see them getting excited when you first came to your meeting, and now it's really just us helping you with that intentionality around scaling your business, making sure that you're paying yourself a good salary, which a lot of business owners don't do. And, we need to ensure that business owners are successful, the business is successful, but also that you're looked after.
Yes.
And that we do that as part of that journey. So I'm really looking forward to sort of putting that, through. And look, I've been, if I reflect on my journey in terms of starting businesses, having that peer-to-peer network where you can actually just get different perspectives, different ideas is just vital. So we're just very excited to have you on that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I wish I found you a little sooner, because I have dabbled into many networks, and most of it it did not resonate with what I was doing. And obviously, we are a certified B Corp, and it was quite a lengthy and a hard process.
Tell us a little bit about that B Corp journey.
No, absolutely. I think when I started the business, it was on my vision board to become a B Corp from the beginning. So it was always there, but it took me almost 5 to 6 years to get there because I thought I was not there. And I think it's more mentally as well. You need to kind of find a balance when you're ready financially, physically, mentally, in every way as an entrepreneur. And then when we were moving to Australia, I thought this is the right time and we need to have a B Corp. It just gives us a lot of credibility to just launch straight into the new market. Like if somebody is looking up online and they say, okay, they are a certified B Corp, then it talks highly of our transparency or our manufacturing processes, giving transparency to our customers.
And how do you think that being a B Corp impacts on your customers and impacts on your profit? Are you seeing that direct correlation between that?
I think I'm slowly getting the hang of that, because we are just new a B Corp. So I think the corporates are really, really into a certification. And I think that gives us a lot of credibility and even pitching for new clients, it just gives, and with the Good Design in Australia award, which we won for our pens, also gives us a lot of momentum and credibility again.
Congratulations on that award. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
And it's now, how do you market that, I guess, in terms of getting the message out there?
Yes.
I think the other reflection, Radhika, is because we're looking at mandatory climate reporting legislation and the changes that are happening there, I think a lot of small businesses go, oh, that's not going to impact on me. Yeah. But we do know that you're a supplier and you're part of that supply chain.
Yes.
So how do you think that's going to impact on your business as an opportunity for you?
Look, I mean, it's not going to be as, I would say, I'm just trying to reframe the answer. It's not, because as a small business, it's not going to directly impact as much as the bigger businesses. But I think we are doing our bits on the daily, by being a B Corp, by getting all the certifications in, by doing small things right on a daily basis, which kind of lead up to that big thing. And then when it's time, we are ready for it. So it doesn't scare us, or it doesn't deflect us or demotivate us. And I think it's a good step ahead.
Yeah, fantastic. And you also donate to 1% for the planet.
Yes.
So you're doing a lot of great things in your business.
So for us, is we are transparent about, we donate 2% of our profits to lots of charities. One of them is 1% for the planet, Greening Australia. We also support a social enterprise which helps with vision dogs. It's called the Vision Dogs Australia.
Oh, fantastic.
So we are into different charities, yes.
Yeah, brilliant. And how do you balance your time? Because you're doing all this great stuff and you are part of a purpose movement that is growing in this country. How do you balance your time with playing in that purpose and passion space and building the business and looking at strategy and looking at the numbers and looking at your customers and building that pipeline? How does that work in your day-to-day life?
Absolutely. I think what I would say is, when I started, it was purely passion. Passion for nature, passion for stationery, passion for design, passion to find a solution and bringing it to the world. And I think I need to stick to that as much as I can, because if that why disappears, I disappear. So for me, it's so important to be connected to that all the time and look back at all the small wins we've had, because being an entrepreneur and being in business, it's hard, and it can, and if you look at other people's journey, you'll be like, oh, I'm so much far behind. But then you go back to your why again. Yeah. And what I do on my downtime as well is I do a lot of Pilates. I read. I listen to a lot of podcasts, which I love, absolutely. And I'm glad you're doing one today. And
so when do you make time to focus on the business?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think it just comes through, on the daily. In the mornings, I block up my time to work on the business, instead just doing the admin and the routine stuff. And I think joining Leaders for Impact is going to keep me accountable in many ways.
When I reflect on the business owners who are part of our network and the business owners that I talk to, there's always it's almost like a memory or an early memory or a fork in the road that led you to where you are today. If I reflect on what mine was when I was actually involved in 2 peer-to-peer networks. One was for the nonprofit sector and one was for the for-profit corporate sector. And we were having the same conversations and the same business challenges and the same feeling of loneliness as leaders and all of that. And I actually brought those groups together. Yeah. And that's where the magic happened, which is why Leaders for Impact has purpose-driven leaders, profit leaders and non-profit leaders. So I look back at that as a really defining moment, and I can still feel it. I can still feel that day. What was your day? What was that moment for you?
Well, I think it was working at one of the hotel chains. So in Singapore, I worked at Sofitel, and we were part of the pre-opening team. And it was an exciting time. We are opening a hotel. It's just amazing to see how a hotel works. And I was into design and marketing part of it. And I loved it. I mean, how exciting is to launch a hotel. But what I saw was on the back side of the operations was the amount of waste problem was happening, from linen waste to toiletries to stationery to food, and there was no accountability of how much is being recycled back in the day or how much is being repurposed. And that's what triggered me that somebody needs to do something about it. And I loved stationery and I loved design and I loved nature, and I was like, hold on. Exactly. I was like, if somebody's not doing anything about it, it's my time to do something about it. And I think that was the idea which sparked, and I had to literally do something about it. Yeah.
And doing something about it, because when we first met, we met at a conference called Purpose Conference. Yes. And there was a lot of good people with a lot of great intentional ideas and a lot of passion in that market.
Yes.
But it takes a lot to take a great idea and actually turn it into a business and be intentional about growing that business.
Yes.
Why do you think that you've succeeded in that where others have not?
I guess my experience, I would say. I think I keep asking myself, what if I had started a little earlier? How would that business look like versus now? But I would say I'm glad that I gained that experience, because if I didn't have that experience, I would not have so much of conviction of what I do right now. And I think this journey, the business journey it's a personal development journey. I mean, as a founder yourself, you are into your personal development on the daily, how you can get better at communicating, how can you get better at sales, how can you empower others, or how can you build a community, and you're just learning, and we are learning and making mistakes, and we are learning from them.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you reflect on, I wish I'd started earlier, because I have that same thing, Radhika. Yeah. I go, oh my God, if I'd only started earlier, where would I be today?
Absolutely.
But I do think, and I think you've hit it on the head, if we didn't have all that experience and come from that experience, I don't know if we would have done it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we would have done it to be as successful as we have been. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And hopefully your mum and your husband now look back and go, that side hustle is now a business, and I'm really proud of that.
Absolutely. So giving you a little bit of example is, so in Singapore, we were invited in South Korea as to exhibit over a 4-day exhibition and to be a speaker and talk about my venture. And that happened literally 2 years after I launched my business. And I took my mom with me to South Korea, and she had a blast. She was so proud, and she was literally in the exhibition and selling my products, and she was so stoked with so much of love and opportunity I got through that. So now she's complete. Both of them have come around.
That's fantastic. And I guess the thing around Leaders for Impact, it also gives you the opportunity to have a sounding board other than your husband.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And in terms of for the business, and in order for you to sort of stretch and grow and develop, which will be really important. Because I think in business world, friends and partners are really important. but we can overload them with what's going on.
And look, it's a lonely journey, and especially being in a very niche field like sustainability, climate change. We are talking about greenwashing. We are talking about policies, and, we are getting into a more serious stuff on that side of it, and it's hard. Like, you don't have many people, and back in the day we didn't have that kind of network to talk about it. And I'm glad that Australia is already on the forefront on sustainability, and businesses are getting serious about bringing change in the coming years.
And what do you think's been the hardest thing for you if you reflect over the last 12 months with your business? What's been some of the hard times for you?
I guess it's the action. We are trying our best to be a good communicator by using social channels like Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn to talk about our products. But when it comes to action, I feel there's a lot of reservation, and I don't know where that comes from, whether it's pricing or whether it's the product but if we get feedback, we can do better as a business, and we can say, look, we can do this change and we can help you with this. So I think it might take a while, and we've been seeing that slow journey, but we are hopeful.
And it is interesting as well, because when we talk a lot about to founders and purpose and impact leaders, they talk a lot about the strategy and a lot about the passion. Yeah. But execution and cash and execution are key, aren't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think I did the other way around. When I started the business, it was mainly execution and cash, and working and making it healthy, so that I've been a conservative entrepreneur. I don't spend easily. It takes a while for me to spend because I want to be profitable, and I want to look at cash flow on the daily. But then when there was a time when I wanted to splurge, and when I did that, when I moved to Australia, and I was like, okay, that's not working either. So I have to go back to my drawing board and just be mindful of the choices I make, the decisions I make, or the mistakes I make, and how I can learn through that.
Yeah. And what would you say you're most proud of?
Oh, I think launching a new market in Australia. I think I'm really excited about that, and working with like-minded clients, partners, collab with the right people. I'm really, really excited to showcase this on this platform and maybe go beyond that.
Fantastic. Yeah. It's great to have ambition, isn't it? And being intentional around that ambition. And we talk about intentionality a lot in terms of that accountability and the action. I think that's going to be really important for you as you move forward. So if you reflect on being an entrepreneur, an impact entrepreneur, what do you think the qualities of an impact leader are, and what resonates with you?
Yeah, so I think I will just add one more thing. My word for 2025 is intention. Yes. And I thought it just resonated so well with me. I have written it down on my vision board, intention, and how I want to look at 2025 and beyond. And being an impact leader is it's a serious job. Inside, outside, I think empowering others, creating a community, looking at long-term instead of short-term gains. Yep. I think looking at the future, what our future generations are going to be left with. Yep. And I think that's where a good leader, a good impact leader can strive from, learn from their challenges and their mistakes, and turn them into opportunities.
And I also think that you've got so much to actually teach others. And I think, Radhika, I think sometimes we forget that when we actually meet leaders who are running, $10 million businesses or $40 million business, and you're in the startup space again. But that agility and that, that passion and all of that, there's so much that you can actually share to your peers in terms of their leadership journey. Yeah. What's the one thing that you think that you could actually share with a group of business owners around a table?
I think I'm a passionate creative person. So I think that's where my strengths are.
Yeah.
And being a product designer, I love to create products. I just absolutely love. If somebody can take the admin, the finance, the marketing, the sales out of me, I would just focus on that. And I think I can challenge my hub and my peers to look at is how they can be innovative with that product, whether it's a life cycle are we talking about, or are we talking about the reusability of it, or are we talking about the recycling process of it, or how we are incorporating design with functionality and getting into those intricate details of it. So I can be meticulous in that aspect and obviously have fun doing it. Yeah.
And when you actually started talking about that, you just lit up, and we talk a lot about, leaders playing to their strengths and being in their happy place. And that's clearly your happy place, isn't it?
I love it.
Yeah. And there's a lot of research around utilizing your strengths and being more successful and goal setting, etc. So ultimately, where we'd love you to land is for your business to be at scale. So all those things that de-energize you, such as the admin and all of that, can be outsourced.
Yes.
And you can actually remain doing what you're passionate about and what makes you happy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what I'm also thinking on a collaborations part, we are also launching a new product, which is our greeting cards, but with Australian native stamps. It's like a DIY thing where we can hold workshops and how we can add in Australian natives into the paper and, play with it. And and just thinking, so I can be on that end and thinking of how I can introduce new products or collaborate with the business and how I can introduce that into our product range and just keep expanding on that. Yeah,
fantastic. And for you, like looking at that intentional scaling, it's that future thinking, isn't it? To go, well, in 3 years' time, let me look at the business. Let me look at the business that I want. Like, what's the structure I'm going to have in place? What are the team I'm going to have in place? And let's work backwards from that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So that's what I mean. When I started in Singapore, it was just getting the business on the ground. But in this case, it's being more with intention, more with strategy, how we land 6 months down, 1 year down, or 2 years down, 3 years down. So I think it's getting. And I guess you change as a person from what I started in 2017. And when I look back at those photos and I'm like, oh my God, that was me. I look so different now. My frame of mind is so different. My mindset is different. My goals are different now. Yeah.
And I think as a business owner and a founder, not only are we changing in terms of and innovating and looking at all of that, but what's happening in the business landscape is so fast.
Yes.
And those disruptors are coming so quickly.
Absolutely.
That it's almost like every month we need to be looking at what's around the corner.
Yes.
What do you think is going to be the biggest disruptor for you that you're keeping an eye on for your business?
Yes. So I was an early adapter for AI. And I think it's been an absolutely game changer for our business because we rely a lot on that. Because being a lean team, I really need to really think and, get my answers or copy or PR or my website copy, or it could be a product description or even a client email. If I need to, ramp it up, I can just put it in the chat GPT and it's done. So I think that would be interesting. What I would also see going down the line is how we can track a customer journey.
Yeah.
So once they buy the product, an AI can give you analytics and data and then say that this is what that person is looking at, how we can track down how much they have recycled or what is the impact they are that product is showing on them on the daily. So I think that could be interesting how we can see that.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting reflection because you're selling these products, but what happens to them afterwards?
Yes.
And you were sharing just before this podcast about a customer was sending you photos of the tomatoes that she's grown.
Yes.
I mean, that's That's an amazing customer story, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's the idea for us, is to take action. It's not about just buying new pens and new stationery. That's obviously, we want people to replace it with traditional stationery, but go through the whole process with it. What if you give a new life to your product and see it bloom in front of your eyes? And when I received that photo, I didn't work that whole day. I was like, I'm done for the day. I'm going to go get a coffee. I'm going to go swim in the ocean, and I'm done for the day, because that gives me so much of joy that that person nurtured that plant and there are tomatoes growing out of that. That's amazing, you know. So
and that's really about amplifying your impact, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Because you're having impact at one level in terms of reducing waste and having these remarkable products.
Yes.
But then you're bringing that joy to your customers in their gardens.
And literally her words are like, our president is nurturing their plant. I mean, can't get better than that. And with every pen, you reduce 5 grams of plastic waste going into the landfill. With every pencil, you reduce 6 grams of plastic waste going into the landfill. So we measure how much waste you are diverting going into the landfill. So that's your clear equation there. Yeah.
You've got so many stories to tell with your business, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's and how do you make the decisions on what stories to tell in terms of how, you know, what's going to translate to customers and profit? Does that get tricky because there's so many great things?
Yeah, initially it used to be tricky, but I met a mentor when I was in Singapore, and he asked me one question. He asked me, what do you want it to be the hero? You or your product? And I knew it was a trick question. So I just kept quiet for 2 minutes and I was like, my product. If my product is the hero, anybody's going to come looking who's the founder behind it. And I think that's what sometimes, as when you are in early stage, you need to really define what needs to be your hero. And I let the product be hero. And I'm on the back. I'm happy to be at the back burner. But then now in this day and age with TikTok, with social media, founders being the story, people are connecting with the founder. I'm here. I'm out and about now, and Australia is really into it. And I love what other brands are doing. One of my other favorite brands is Thank You. They do amazing stuff. I love their products and I use them on the daily and I love them. Another product I love is Go To Skincare. And I use their products and I love them. So there's such amazing products in Australia right now.
What a great question to ask though. Because we do get stuck in that founder thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, like I'd love to be a little bit more behind the scenes, but at the end of the day, you are the business, and the product is also the business.
Absolutely.
And I think that'll probably, over time, as you scale, there'll be an opportunity for you to be less front and center as you build that capacity.
Yes.
Which I think will be important for the growth of Left-Hand Design.
Yes, absolutely.
As we move forward. Now, one of your key strengths is legacy, right? So if you had to reflect on what your legacy would be, what would that look like?
I think leaving a clean and a green space for future generations, how we can look at waste as an opportunity and how we can transform it into something beautiful and repurpose as much as we can, because we live in a throw culture on the daily and we don't know what to do with it. Most of us are not aware of what to do with it. And I think taking action slowly and steadily can just help, reduce that waste.
So I know, because I've actually done your strengths profile, that one of your key strengths is legacy. So what do you reflect in terms of what your legacy will be, Radhika?
I think working towards less waste and more greener spaces where we can have more products and help people to adapt to greener lifestyles and give them different choices. Second would be empowering women in leadership and nurturing that side of it, because I think women in leadership roles are absolutely brilliant. 80% of my business comes through leader founders and leaders, women in leadership. They are the ones signing off our contracts. And it is amazing to see how quick they are in making that decision. Yeah. And I'm so happy to work with them. So I want to see more of that. And I would love to empower and be part of that in any way possible.
One of the things that I reflect on in terms of my journey and my leadership journey and business journey, remembering I started back in the 80s where things like sustainability and ESG weren't spoken about. But right now, we know that business as usual is not going to cut it anymore. We have to be ahead of the game. Yeah. So how are you bringing that to the fore, and how does profit and purpose dance in that mix?
Absolutely, because it's, as you said, back in the day, nobody knew about these terminology. Like, what are these terms? Sustainability, climate change, ECG, greenwashing. These terms never existed. And when I launched the business and I started doing marketplaces, I just realized that what am I selling? Selling to people who have no clue what I'm doing. And I'm like, what am I doing here? So I had to literally go back and think, what do I really want to achieve in this? What is my bigger picture? What is my vision for the future? If I look at that and then I work backwards, let's see how that looks like. So I stopped selling. I literally stopped selling. Like, I sold, but I started educating them. I created awareness of the product. Like, why do you need this instead of a plastic stationery? Why do you need this because instead of a coffee cup? Why do you need this than a plastic bag? So my whole journey began educating and creating awareness. And then the sales came in. Then my profits came in. Then I started selling products. And then I was like, this kind of works. So how quickly can you pivot?
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, you have to pivot. And you have to make different choices. And looking at that situation, you just have to pivot.
And I think it's an interesting thing you say about that education piece.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of business owners at the moment, where they're pushing boundaries on being the businesses of the future, who understand the way that we've done things in the past doesn't cut it anymore. They are part of the education piece.
Yes.
And having to educate around the why before you can actually go to market. And that's a new way of doing business, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. But having come to Australia, it's different. People understand the product now. It's just about adaptability. It's about taking action. It's about putting into practice. And that's where our circular economy, solutions come in, where we want to create that norm. This is the new standard, not just an alternative.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think we used to have this, and it's really changing. We used to have this purpose market, and then we had a profit market. I don't see that anymore. Yeah. I'm seeing the fact that we actually need collaboration. Every business has a purpose, and every business needs to be profitable and sustainable.
Absolutely.
So I think that combined sector view is really going to be helpful, because we can't work in isolation anymore.
No, not anymore. Everything's correlated. Everything, all your internal systems, everything, sustainability to finance, to numbers, to marketing. Our social media messaging is all about the why behind the brand. Right now, there's so much going on, the virality of it, like how it becomes a viral video. You're just constantly working towards that. And it's fun. We are making it fun. We are not making it serious, because it's a serious topic at the end of the day, with what's happening around the world, with the fires, with everything around the world. And how we can make it fun so that the consumers love it, enjoy it, and want to be part of that community.
You certainly do make it fun. So that's great. And
we are trying.
And I think the other thing that you're doing, coming to Australia and looking and understanding that, you may not have to do the same amount of education here, because people are aware, but you are also looking at how do you make your product more aligned to this market.
Yes.
So bringing in that, you talked about having the native seeds in your greeting card collection. That's fantastic, because that will resonate with Australia consumers.
Oh, absolutely. We are trying to streamline that part of the process as well, so that we can localize the product as much as we can. We print in Australia, which is great, which is an exciting new step for us. And I'm really looking forward to expand on that in the future.
And again, I think think that's something that's really interesting, because when you look at the all the data on the consumer of the future, not only do they care about planet, but they also care about local products, local manufacturing, made in Australia. So you've actually ticked so many boxes in terms of your business.
Slowly and steadily we're getting there.
And what a fantastic legacy for you to lead.
Yeah.
And just a final question around, what are you optimistic about in terms of what's happening in the world? Because there can be a lot of there are a lot of news that we're hearing and a lot of stuff going on. Tell me what you're hopeful for.
I guess being in this business where we are making small changes and small impact makes me happy at the end of the day, that even if somebody's planted a pen or a pencil and they have got a tomato, a basil, a spinach, anything out of it makes me happy that there's still hope, and I just had to be optimistic and be excited that it is achievable, but it's going to take a while, and keep going.
Absolutely. And what a great thing. Keep going. Yeah. Keep that intentional. Yeah. And business owners like yourself are making a difference. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for being here, Radhika. It's been an awesome conversation, and I could sit here for hours and hear about all the work that you're doing and your passion and your commitment to your business. We are so privileged to have you in Leaders for Impact, and I can't wait to be part of the journey and seeing where you take your business. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Kelly.